Going to start off a little series of videos today. I've got in front of me on the old computer here a track that I recorded for a band called Granny Takes a Trip. I recorded them about 4 years ago, and it was one of the first kind of full band recordings that I did when I started working at the little recording studio where I work. I thought it might be interesting to go back on it. I was given permission by the band at the time to use it for promotional stuff, etc. But what I do want to double check with them, and I thought might be kind of cool, is if I can make the multi-track files available for you guys, and we can go through this together. So I'm kind of on that today to try and get their permission. But this is just a little intro to the mixing series that's going to be coming up. I'll play a little bit of the first verse and chorus in a minute or two. But I also, interestingly, today got the offer of a friend of mine has rang me up. He's bought a version of a plugin, or it's not a plugin actually, it's a standalone application called Drumaton, which cleans up drum spill, the microphone spill on the drums, multi-track drums. So I'm going to take the drum files from this project over to his very shortly. He's going to show me how it works, and I'm going to see what I want to do with these drum files, see if it will help me out. So I'm going to film that as well shortly, so that'll be coming up directly after this, and we'll see what it does for us. But other than that, please like, subscribe, keep you up to date with this series that will be going on. I'm going to try and do it once a week. But at the moment I'm kind of up to my eyes in it at work. I'll let you have a little blast of the track that I'm going to be working on, and then we'll flip over to the Drumaton video and show you how I got on over there. So cheers, see you again. Right, here we are in part 2 of my kind of intro on the mixing series. You'll understand why I'm calling it an intro. It's because I'm taking advantage of a friend of mine here who has let me use his Drumaton 2 plugin, which I didn't realise is actually from the Plugin Alliance people. Now, I've already dragged in the drum files from the session that we're going to be working on, and I've analysed it. The reason being is it takes a little bit of time, so I just thought I'd get it done ahead of time. So it's very simple. You can either drag and drop, or there's a button to select the folder, you select your files and just drag them in. It's easy peasy. The only thing to make sure is to make sure you name them correctly. When the overheads come in, they came in as other, and if you've got other, I'm assuming there's options, but anyway, it's best to name things correctly, so it helps the plugin, or it's not a plugin, it helps the application analyze the files properly. So I've analyzed the group, and I've had a listen to them all. Now the overheads, because they're overheads, you're allowing bleed, So therefore these, if you notice, you have no options to use the adjustments. So if we go to the kick, you can see that this is operational, whereas on the overheads it's not, because we want to keep all the bleed. Yeah. Very, very briefly, I'm not going to go into detail on this plugin. I was just really interested to see it for myself. I played around with it a little bit, and I just wanted to show you guys. It cleans up the bleed from your drum tracks. So let's take my kick in here, right? We can put it up to where the kick actually starts, and if I press play, we can have a listen to what's going on. So because that's selected, I'm listening to the kick. There's a little bit of snare blade, so let's bring up the focus. And there goes the snare blade. Now, if you find that at this point the kick is, it's cutting off really quickly, you can use this fine tune, and it'll lengthen the release time. Is the only way I can think of describing it. Sorry, I mean, it's the first time I've used this plugin, so for me it's all news. So if we play it, and if I lengthen this, you see you start to get a little bit of that bleed coming back, so it's obviously lengthening the gate basically. I'll take it back down, or take it right up, all you get is the kick. But I've been told the best way is just to raise it up just until you hear what you don't want go away. So I'm happy with that. The kick out was using a ribbon mic I used on this just to get some body. I wanted a bit of woomph on it. So let's hear what we've got. Lots of bleed. Okay. But you can hear that kind of woolly quality that I wanted from this mic. So let's just bring this up. I mean, that's just incredible. You can see in blue here what it's taking away, and in white what it's leaving. Now, it's not got that woomph factor that I wanted, so let's try the fine tune. It's better. But yeah, I mean, that's just incredible. So let's have a look at the snare top. Now, this was the main reason why I was quite keen to do this when my friend rang me up, because there's some hi-hat bleed on this and some cymbal bleed. Actually, it's more to do with the ride bleed that comes over, which when I compress this snare, it really comes up in the signal. So let's have a listen, and we'll see what happens when I focus in on it. Now, I know the cymbal stuff isn't totally noticeable. It's when you start compressing the snare and adding a high end to it and whatnot, it really comes up. So let's just see what happens. Let's take it all the way. Focus. That I can live with. Now I'm going to show you why. My overheads, I'll play you the left hand channel, I don't use them as cymbal mics, I use them as overall drum mics. I like to have an overall sound of the kit, and I set them up in such a way as that they're both pointing at they're kind of off axis a little bit and pointing down at the kick and the snare. So you'll hear quite a lot of kick and snare within these the overhead tracks, which is what I want to keep. I want to retain that because I'm going to use that as my overall sound of the kit, and then back that up with the close mics. So let's have a listen to the left hand channel here and the right. So you see what I mean? It's very much the sound of a whole kit there, and I want that. I want to keep that. So I'm not going to do anything with them. Well, I can't do anything because I've called them overheads, so you can't take any of the bleed out. The toms. Well, actually, sorry. Let's just go to the snare bottom. I mean, I wanted to point that out with the overheads, because when I'm taking some of these signals out of these close mics, I've still got all the information on my overheads here. I know I haven't got any room mics in this recording. That was due to a lack of inputs at the time. I recorded this using a Digi 02 and a Focusrite Octoprix, one of the really old ones from the 80s or 90s, I think it was, that you had to fit in an adapter to mod it so that it worked via light pipe. So that gave me 8 extra inputs. So I had 12 inputs. This whole recording was done with really cheap mics. I think the drum mics were I'm trying to remember what it's called now. I think it's something like Super Lux. They're a Chinese drum set, microphone set. You know, there's 6 or 7 mics in there that come in this plastic case that are supposed to be super duper. And that's what I recorded this with. I think the only decent mic I used was I used an Audix mic on the inside of the drum, the kick drum. Other than that, it was done with these cheap mics, and it worked out okay. I mean, it's, you know, I'll go into a little bit more detail. I'll have a look at what mics I exactly used on a lot of it, and I'll go into a little bit more detail as this series progresses. And you don't have to have, you know, mega mics to make a decent recording. You just got to think about what you're doing and listen to what you're doing, basically. So anyway, let's have a listen to the snare bottom, and we'll see what's going on there. Obviously, we've got a little bit of bleed from the kick. It's not major. If we bring this up, that's enough. That whoof, whoof from the snare whenever the kick hits is never going to go away. You hear it. It's almost like a brush stroke. So we can pull that back. I mean, I'm listening to this on headphones at the moment. I'll do this again via my friend's monitors just to make sure I've got this right. But that sounds great to me. So we'll move on to the toms. Now, I've already listened to the toms, and I'll talk to you about them. Let's have a listen through them first. Let's find a spot where this one's playing a couple of notes. You can zoom in and out here on this display at the top, which gives you the waveform at the top. So let's just zoom in on this section here and press play. But what if you listen? Can you hear, like, every time the kick's hitting and the snare's hitting, there's that boom, boom, boom. It's just the drum resonating the whole time. Now, if I do as I did with the kick and snare mics and try and take away all the bleed, let's see what we're left with. It's that resonance. You can hear it in the background there. I really do not want that. So my plan is it's exactly the same with the floor tom. If we can have a listen here, there's a bit more going on there. Play it. And let's turn out the... You see what I mean? You've got that whoomp thing going on, the drum just resonating underneath. So what I'm going to do is the two toms I'm not going to touch. I'm going to leave them as they are, I'm just going to clean up the kicks and the snares. Now obviously I've got the original files to hand as well, so when it comes to the project I can mix and match how I want to do this. So the reason I'm going to leave all the tom bleed on there is sometimes it sounds nice, but in this case it just doesn't work because you've got that constant boom, boom, boom of the drum resonating. So what I'll do is I'm going to leave all the information on the tom tracks for now, because when we get back to the project I'm going to use auto align to phase align all these drum tracks. So because I'm cleaning up the snare and there's going to be nothing left of anything else, I'm going to use the overheads as the reference for Autoline to work to. Which means I want all the bleed on the toms there, because then Autoline will use the bleed on the toms and the overhead signal and phase align them. The kick in the snare, obviously Autoline will hear the kick in the snare and the overhead as well, and align the phase of those at the same time. So that's my theory. Some people use the snare top as the primary thing that everything gets aligned to, which I do sometimes as well, but in this case I'm going to use the overhead left and use phase align on that. So the next step is, once you're happy with this and how everything is, you export the group. It automatically, I've already done it so I'm not going to do it again, but it automatically, well no, I'm not going to do it again, sorry, it'll get me very confused. So it creates new files with a different name. As far as I know, I'll have to, once we go into bringing them in, I can show you what they're called. As I say, I've never used this plugin before. This is my first time with it at all. But it's fantastic how much it's cleaned up those snares. And let's have one more listen to the snare here. We can bypass here. Now you can hear all that hi-hat in there. As soon as we try to put some compression on that snare or lift some of the top end, you know what's going to happen. We can move on to the next stage. We'll get it all into the project, and we'll phase align it and see where we're sitting. So thanks for watching, folks. I mean, please like, subscribe, you know, join in, because there's going to be a series of these videos now. So I mean, subscribe so that you can get notifications when I load them up. So much appreciated for your time, and I'll see you next one. Cheers.